Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Thursday, June 20th, 2019. In both the Lynn life and the Jamie body mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the many search for truth rules given to the search for truth community by wiser minds above all of us, and those rules include looking up to wiser minds above in all moments and asking up to wiser minds above, what now? What is it you want me to do now? And then doing whatever it is the instructions are to the best of our abilities, doing the assignment the way in which it's supposed to be carried out, when it's supposed to be carried out, to the best of our abilities, as if we intend to excel. And it sure seems like what we're supposed to do for the filming today is to do another Q&A with the angels and godly presences affiliated with planet Earth. We have questions from humanity that have been piling up, and it seems as though all of these have passed enough pre-screening steps that these questions in the bell right now should be questions that the angels and godly presences affiliated with planet Earth are willing to hear and answer. Would it be okay with you upstairs if we present some questions from humanity? Would it be okay with you guys if we present questions from humanity?
I don't hear a no.
I don't hear a no, and there's no other instruction coming in.
That's true.
So we're going to start with this Q&A with the angels and godly presences affiliated with planet Earth right now, I guess. With your permission. I get a thumbs up.
I get a thumbs up also.
Okay.
Our first question comes from a viewer named Hunter. And Hunter says, okay, if I could ask an all-knowing higher being from another dimension anything.
Oh look, somebody's coming up, they're preening.
Yes, they feel very excited to be an all-knowing higher being.
Yes. Probably that's not the person to listen to.
Probably
Let's
not.
keep stretching higher. Go on, because we're all supposed to be looking up, and I don't see any looking up. That's why I don't mean disrespect, but we're all supposed to be looking up and channeling in an eternal chain to spirit. So here's a question coming from boots on the ground, coming up, and we want to shoot it up the tube as high as possible because that's the assignment. The assignment is shoot it up the tube as high as possible. Something keeps flying, literally flying into my head and bouncing off it.
Fascinating.
Yes. And so you guys are supposed to also be doing the same thing. We're all supposed to be doing the same thing. There we go. And therefore that was just some faker. And so friends, this is an example of the many astral fakers who show up, and they are traps for the unwary.
That's true.
They pretend to be God, and they show up in answer to prayers, but they're not looking up themselves, and
That's
they're just
true.
dead people pretending to be God. And so beware, watch out for that.
Well, now it's much clearer upstairs. Let's keep going with Hunter's questions. Hunter asks, why exactly do they feel the need to guide the human race towards a higher vibration of peace and love? What exactly is their motive? What governs them? Is this human consciousness just some sort of trial conceived by beings more powerful to see what would happen? Do they pass upon heavy judgment for the faults we have within our society? If so, why, if the judgment they passed isn't being heard by so many?
There are many wonderful questions somebody is saying in that higher dimension room.
Yeah,
and the
they
first two questions are linked. So let's start with those first two,
Okay.
and then we'll take the others one at a time.
The first two questions are, why exactly do they feel the need to guide the human race towards a higher vibration of peace and love? What exactly is their motive? What governs them?
Somebody is talking who seems to be the head person, the person in charge, in that higher dimension room of angels and godly presences affiliated with planet Earth.
That's
Everybody's kind of turning and looking at the boss, so to speak.
That's true.
And he's saying we're a team who is here attempting to we have a test that's gone bad.
Yes.
And it started to go bad about 100 years ago, which in planetary time is the blink of an eye.
That's true.
And our thinking was, it'll turn around, it'll turn around, it'll turn around. Don't be so harsh, it'll turn around. Just wait, just wait, just wait. And it's getting so much worse, so much faster than we thought it was going to be, that it's really clear that that was the wrong approach.
That's what that presence is saying.
And so we are really attempting to basically, he's not saying it, but what he's thinking is rescue our reputation.
That's what he's thinking about.
That's what he's thinking. He's saying something else, but the thinking is more true.
Yeah.
So we're just going to say what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He's thinking we want to rescue our reputations. We don't want this failure on our records.
No.
And he's taking responsibility for it, and
That's
he's encouraging his team to take responsibility for it.
That's
so
true.
we think it's a good attitude to take, and he's saying basically, look, it was going off track a little bit since, and he seems to be pointing to the Industrial Revolution because he's holding like a little toy engine.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And we were waiting for it to quit wobbling and to get back on an even keel.
Yeah.
And instead it has flipped over into the ditch, and now it's like a bug waving its feet in the air.
And by it, what does he mean?
That's a good question. The project.
Yes.
The project seems to be create a workable world in which good quality souls can survive, thrive, maybe thrive.
Yeah, that's true.
But somebody else is looking in and kind of like frowning eyes at that explanation.
From a higher dimension.
From much higher.
That's
and
true.
saying it's a world that works for everybody, and if it doesn't work for everybody, then it actually doesn't actually work for the good quality souls. It has to work for everyone. Actually everyone. And the presences affiliated with planet Earth are nodding, but they don't in their hearts agree with that. They think it should, in their hearts, they think it should work for them.
Yeah.
And everybody else needs to adjust to that.
That's the feeling in that room.
However, they are agreeing with their supervisory presences who are, I see their tent coming down over a much larger area than just Earth. I don't know what it covers. Bigger than the galaxy.
A lot bigger than the galaxy.
Maybe the universe.
Maybe the universe.
Maybe bigger than the universe.
Maybe bigger than the universe.
Maybe bigger than the universe. All right, so multiple universes. So some aspect of the multiverse.
Yeah.
So the supervisory presence in charge of some aspect of the multiverse says, no, friends, not just working for good quality souls like you guys, working for everybody, creating a world that works for all sentiences. And they're nodding, but
in that lower dimension meeting room,
which is also a higher dimension with regard to us.
Yes.
It's the room of godly presences affiliated with planet Earth. Everybody that humans call God, no matter who the human is and who they're talking about, they're all in that room. and
Yeah.
they think it should work for them.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're pretending that they agree with the supervisor who says, not just you, friends, everybody.
That's true.
And that's okay.
Okay.
So the motive is to create a world that works as long as the boss is watching for everybody.
Yes.
And when the boss isn't watching, a world that works for them.
Yes, that's true.
And to rescue their reputations.
That's true.
For him is a message.
Why do you ask?
Why do you ask? And does that answer that part of the question?
It's just quiet upstairs now.
Well, let's read the next
Yeah.
part of this question.
Well,
Let's back up and read that question again just
Good
to be
point.
sure, because that's crucial.
Right? Why exactly do they feel the need to guide the human race towards a higher vibration of peace and love?
So there's some confusion there.
Lot of
They're
confusion.
trying to get this experiment back on track.
Yes, that's true.
meaning planet Earth, ground zero combo pack. Get the
Yeah.
experiment back on track. We're supposed to leap over this hurdle into sustainability as a species of humanity. We're supposed to get to where we can still have hot showers and easily available food and water and safe places in which to sleep
That's true.
without destroying everything else. We're supposed to stop being destructive, and that's different than higher vibrations of peace and love. Stop being destructive does include don't fight each other, for
That's
gracious
true.
sakes.
That's true.
Warfare is a bunch of boys going around raggling their privates at each other.
That's true.
And stop doing that.
That's
Stop it. That's really revolting. Says
these
these
presences in this higher dimension room.
of angels and godly presences affiliated with planet Earth.
Yes.
So that's so basic. Obviously, stop fighting each other, you fools. Speaking to humanity in
Oh,
general,
yeah.
not to any one
Not to any
particular
specific.
aspect of
That's
humanity. Stop fighting each other, you fools. And higher vibrations of love. Love is a word that is used so many different ways that
That's
we should
true.
ban it from the English language
That's true.
and require people to use more precise terms. So says that presence who's not very patient right now.
No.
He's probably irritated because he wants to make it something that just works for the godly presences and is a little annoyed at having to consider the good of the little people.
That's true.
But in answer to the bigger question that those questions are wrapped inside of is that this was a test planet. And the test, now somebody else who's much calmer is speaking.
Yes, I hear
The
that.
test was to attempt to find a training program that works to encourage all presences to live their soul plans, to live to their destinies, to keep their sacred vows to spirit, to do what they said they would do before they were born. And to find a training program that works so that various guardian angels can get their charges to do what they're supposed to do, and that the coordinators can then weave a tapestry of life and create a world that works. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
This is a test planet, and the test went off track hard 100 years ago. And it's been wobbling since the Industrial Revolution, which seemed like it was worth a try.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was wobbling along, and then 100 years ago, they keep saying 100 years ago,
Yeah, they do.
fell off. So what was happening 100 years ago? It was after the Great War.
That's true.
And apparently after the Great War, humanity was supposed to make some choices that we didn't make.
That's true.
And instead we made wrong choices.
That's true.
Does that answer the question?
Quiet again.
Quiet again. Okay,
Okay.
let's go on.
Is this human consciousness just some sort of trial conceived by beings more powerful to see what would happen?
Well, kind of. This is a test planet,
This is
and
the
they're trying
same
to
presence
get.
speaking.
Yes, thank you. Same godly presence is saying kind of. This is a test planet, and humanity was chosen as the species through which we would work, and maybe it was a mistake, and in hindsight it seems pretty clear we should have gone with somebody like the bonobos,
That's what he's
who
saying.
are not as greedy, not as selfish, more caring, more sharing.
That's true.
And we probably should have gone with them, but that isn't who we chose, and now we're into it. That's what the person said.
That's what he said.
And apparently they went against some advice, and now they're really kind of dug in and trying to prove that they were right, and the advisor was wrong.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a boots on the ground soul speaking about that room of godly presences affiliated with planet Earth.
Thank you.
That's true. Do they pass upon heavy judgment for the faults we have within our society?
Well, this is a twisting of what actually goes
I
on.
feel
What
the
actually
twist.
goes on, it's as simple, it's like a mathematical calculation.
Yeah.
Cause and effect. The law of cause and effect, also known as the law of karma, is real, also known as what goes around comes around. Everything that we
Yes.
do is going to come back to us in equal measure. If we are a bully to 100 people, 100 times we will be bullied.
Yeah.
So it's just a mathematical formula. So it's not as
Yes.
though their presences render judgment, but there are presences deciding the applicability of karmic law when a bad thing happens. Who bears the heaviest responsibility, and who bears the next lighter responsibility, and so on. When, for example, warfare was a topic put on the table
That's what they're talking
through the
about.
concept of this question, and everybody involved bears bad karma, all the way down to the foot soldiers who took that job because they couldn't find a better job.
I feel that feeling.
However, the biggest responsibility occurs by the biggest bullies. The biggest bullies, and some of that is the feelings in the moment when the people are bashing in the skulls of the babies.
That's true.
And they know they're bashing in skulls of babies, and they don't have to do that, and they're making that
yeah.
choice. The biggest
yeah.
bullies bear the biggest karmic burden. And there's a topic of how long we should wait before applying the karmic
Yes.
payback, and that's something this godly presence is saying. Maybe we've made a mistake by trying to stretch the rubber band longer. We were attempting to give presences more time to clean up their act before we had the mousetrap snap on them.
That's what he said.
And now maybe that was a mistake. Through an attempt of kindness, perhaps we have created an unkindness, because bullies don't seem to stop bullying. They just seem to egg each other on to be more bullying and more bullying and more bullying, and then they never call it what it is, says this presence.
Yep.
And they enter a cycle of bad, and by the time they're dead, they're just factory farm food. That's all they're worth.
That's true.
Does that answer the question? Can we have the question again?
Yeah. Do they pass upon heavy judgment for the faults we have within our society?
It's just the mathematical calculation.
That's true.
There's no, it's not judgment. It's cause and effect.
That's true.
When you throw a rock up, it's going to fall down and smoosh you.
That's true.
Don't throw rocks.
Yes.
Does that answer the question? And somebody's saying, and the only question on the table with regard to karma is, do we hold it in abeyance for a period of time, which is what has been the practice?
That's true.
And that seems to be a mistake.
Yeah.
And possibly we should let the karmic implications occur faster so that the feedback is sooner. And there's a cadre of, can't quite get the word, cadre of something, who's asking for instant karma.
Yeah.
And he's calling them extremists.
Yes, he is. And the last part is, if they pass heavy judgment upon us, why, if the judgment they pass isn't being heard by so many?
Well, it's not judgment, it's karma. It's just cause and effect.
That's true.
This is This is physics, energetic physics. It's divine law, cause and effect. People aren't listening. That's their own stupid choice.
That's true.
It says this godly presence.
That's true.
And we can follow the thinking that it is kind of not very wise to pretend that we can do whatever we want without consequence. That sounds kind of like a fantasy.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know who that is, but that was somebody who interprets their rulings for applicability.
Yeah.
It's possibly a leader of the guardian angel community.
That could be.
The individual guardian angels who work with individual humans and other life forms. Does that answer the question? Friends, we really want to remind the viewers that the answers are channeled answers, and that they might be saying something that is not palatable to our ears, but don't we want to consider whether or not we want to hear what divine voices are saying, and to take it to heart and see if we can find a way to adjust our thinking so that we can see the points that they are making. Really, they don't have to help us, and we think that this is the real point. This is a boots on the ground soul, and saying there's a basic confusion about whether or not angelic presences are required to help humanity, and they are not required to help humanity. We really need to get this, friends. We really need to take it to heart. They do not have to help humanity, and we need to become less unpleasant to work with. We really need to come around the corner on this. We really do. As a species and as individuals also. Does that answer the question?